I'm Clara Evans, 32, a CPA who has always been the pillar of financial stability in my family. Last Saturday, I stood alone in the manicured gardens of Oak Ridge Estate, the $4,000 venue I had meticulously booked and paid for our annual family reunion. The place was a ghost town, save for my mother, Helen, who pulled up an hour late, clutching a warped plastic container. She chuckled, a sound that grated on my raw nerves, saying, "We decided to have the gathering at your sister's place instead. We brought you some leftovers." I manufactured a smile while a fault line that had been forming for decades finally ruptured deep inside me. Before I tell you what happened next, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and subscribe if family drama hits close to home. Being the middle child in the Evans family has always meant one thing: all of the responsibility with none of the recognition. At 32, I've spent my life as the buffer between my older sister, Sophie, 35, and my younger brother, Mason, 28. Sophie is the creative soul, the golden child whose mediocre paintings were lauded as masterpieces. Mason, the baby, is the perpetual free spirit who could do no wrong. His missteps were dismissed with a fond chuckle. Then there was me, dependable Clara, the one who would always step up, the one who would always pay, the one who would always be taken for granted. The pattern was set in childhood, when my allowance money replaced a vase Mason's stray ball shattered. "Your brother is saving up for his passions," Mom would say. "And you're so brilliant with numbers, Clara." As an adult, the dynamic only intensified. I clawed my way through college on a mountain of student loans and 3 part-time jobs. My parents, however, paid for Mason's entire 6-year journey through a private university to find himself, and gifted Sophie a convertible for her 16th birthday while I discreetly contributed to household bills. When I pointed out the disparity, my mother simply said, "You didn't need our help, Clara. You've always been so fiercely independent." Last Christmas, I funded a family vacation to Tuscany, covering flights, the villa, and even a private cooking class. Sophie brought a single bottle of wine she'd been gifted. Mason brought his appetite and complaints about the Wi-Fi. For my parents' 40th anniversary, I orchestrated and paid for an $8,000 party at a historic hotel. During the toasts, neither of my siblings mentioned my role. My mother just thanked the family for such a magical celebration. My success as a CPA has been twisted into a weapon used against me. "Well, I guess some of us are just obsessed with money, Clara," Sophie once sneered, just months after asking for a loan she never repaid. My best friend, Zoe, has been my steadfast witness. "Your family treats you like a sentient debit card," she told me last month after I covered my dad's emergency dental surgery. "They press the guilt and obligation buttons, and cash just dispenses. One day they'll push you too far, and you'll finally detonate." Despite it all, the family reunions were sacred to me, a tradition started by my grandmother, Rose. She was the only one who saw me, who would whisper, "You're my practical girl," with genuine admiration. Keeping the gatherings alive felt like preserving a piece of her. I always held out hope that this would be the year they'd see me. I could not have been more wrong. The planning began 3 months ago in our family group chat. "Clara should do it," Sophie typed. "She's so meticulous." Mason quickly seconded the motion. I hesitated, then conceded, but with one condition. "I'll coordinate," I wrote, "but can we discuss splitting the costs this year?" The digital silence was palpable. 3 hours later, Mom replied, "Let's sort that out later. First, let's find a perfect venue." That later never materialized. My requests for cost sharing were met with deflections. "Money's tight," Sophie would claim, despite her Instagram feed of designer handbags. "I'll chip in what I can," Mason would promise, a phrase which historically translated to zero. After weeks of research, I found Oak Ridge Estate. It had gardens for Mom, a fishing pond for Dad, scenic spots for Sophie's photos, and a pool for Mason's kids. It was perfect, and it was $4,000. When I sent the pictures, the group chat exploded with praise. "Divine," Sophie gushed. "The kids will go nuts," Mason added. Not a single person asked about the cost. When I finally stated the price and again suggested sharing the expense, the conversation instantly pivoted to menu planning. I spent my lunch breaks negotiating with vendors and my evenings updating spreadsheets. I ordered personalized place settings, custom party favors to commemorate Grandma Rose, and booked a professional photographer. The expenses mounted, all charged to my credit card. 2 weeks before the reunion, I sent a final confirmation to the group chat. Everything is set for Saturday, June 10th at Oak Ridge Estate. I've paid all the deposits and final balances. It would be a huge help if everyone could contribute toward the costs, which are currently at $4,382.17. Mom replied with heart emojis. Sophie sent a thumbs up. My dad called that evening. The venue looks incredible, sweetheart, he said. When I gently brought up the money, he deployed his practiced vagueness. Oh, you know how things are. We'll work something out. You're just so good at it. The night before, I was up until 2 a.m. finalizing everything. I was bone tired, but a fragile hope fluttered within me. Maybe this time would be different. Sophie asked if she could bring a friend. Mason confirmed he and his kids were coming. Mom said her friend Brenda was looking forward to it. I fell asleep surrounded by lists and receipts, unaware that my family had already made other plans. My alarm blared at 6:00 a.m. By 7:00, I was picking up the $1,250 worth of catering. Mom's favorite salmon, Dad's prime rib, gluten-free pasta, and custom sliders for the kids. By 8:30, I was at the estate. The manager, Isabel, helped me unload. The tables were arranged perfectly on the veranda overlooking the pond. By 10:30, everything was immaculate. The photo slideshow was cued. The personalized place settings, each with a cherished photo, gleamed in the morning light. I sent a final excited text to the group chat. Everything is ready at Oak Ridge. It looks absolutely beautiful. Can't wait to see you all soon. Crickets. By 11:30, the photographer had arrived, but not a single family member had. I called my mother. Voicemail. I called my siblings. Voicemail. At noon, Mason finally responded. Oh, is that today? Sophie texted seconds later, running a little behind. Traffic is a nightmare. Dread coiled in my stomach. At 12:30 p.m., my mother finally called, her voice infuriatingly casual. Clara, honey, didn't you get our messages? What messages? I'm here. We're all waiting at Oak Ridge. Oh dear, she said, sounding merely inconvenienced. There's been a change of plans. Sophie offered to host at her house since it's closer for most people. We're all here now. We tried to reach you. The background noise was a symphony of betrayal. Music, laughter, and the unmistakable splash of someone jumping into a pool. You're all at Sophie's. Right now? Yes, honey, it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. You know how it is. I frantically checked my phone again. No missed calls, no texts, nothing. I've been here since 8:30 this morning setting everything up. I paid for this venue months ago. Well, these things happen, Mom repeated dismissively. Sophie just had her backyard re-landscaped, and she was dying to show off the new pool. We'll save you some food. In fact, I can bring you some leftovers. Where are you again? The casual erasure of my work and my money left me breathless. Oak Ridge Estate, I managed. The place I've been talking about for 3 months. Right. I'll swing by with a plate for you then. We're just about to cut the cake. Cake. They had a cake for the reunion I had planned. After telling the pitying photographer he could leave, I explained the situation to Isabel. She was horrified and generously offered a partial refund, which I refused. It wasn't her fault. At 2:45 p.m., my mother's car pulled up. She got out holding a stained plastic container, her hair damp from a swim. There you are, she called out. We had such a lovely time. She handed me the container, a mishmash of salmon, pasta, and soggy salad. We missed you, but everyone understood you were busy with. She waved a vague hand at the grand estate behind me, all this. As she stood there, smiling as if she had done me a great service, something inside me didn't just snap, it atomized. A terrifying, glacial calm settled over me. Thank you for the leftovers, Mom. I need to get going. As I drove away from Oak Ridge Estate, the container on the seat beside me felt like a trophy symbolizing every time my family had tossed me scraps in return. The drive home was a silent, white-knuckled affair. The moment I walked into my apartment, the icy calm shattered. I collapsed on my living room rug, racked with ugly, gasping sobs. When my phone rang, I saw it was Zoe. I couldn't form words, only choked sobs. I'm coming over, she said, her voice low and dangerous. 20 minutes later, she was at my door with 2 bottles of Cabernet and a look of murderous loyalty. As I recounted every agonizing detail, she seethed. And then your mother had the unmitigated gall to bring you leftovers, she spat, like you're a stray cat. Check social media, Zoe suggested grimly. She was right. Sophie's Instagram was a gallery of their joyous gathering, a video of Mason doing a cannonball into the pool. A picture of the whole family captioned, "The best get-togethers are the spontaneous ones. Family first blessed." And in one photo, a large sheet cake with EVANS Family Reunion 2023 in blue icing. They had planned this. This wasn't spontaneous. It was a deliberate, malicious exclusion. My phone buzzed, Mom calling. I put her on speaker. Clara, honey, are you coming over to Sophie's? Everyone's been asking where you are. The blatant lie was sickening. No, Mom, I'm not coming. I spent my day at the venue I paid for, waiting for a family that never showed. Oh, don't be so dramatic, Clara, she said dismissively. Plans changed. More convenient than the venue I paid over $4,000 for. Well, we didn't ask you to spend that much money, she shot back. You always go overboard. Not all of us can afford to be so frivolous. Zoe snatched the phone. Mrs. Evans, this is Zoe. What you and your family did today was cruel, disrespectful, and frankly, disgusting. This is a family matter, Zoe, Mom replied coldly. Clara knows we appreciate her. That's the problem with being a CPA. Everything becomes about dollars and cents instead of what's really important. I took the phone back. This isn't about dollars and cents, Mom. This is about respect. After hanging up, a new text from Sophie arrived. Hey, can you help me plan our family ski trip for February? You're so amazing at finding the best deals. That was the final insult. That's it, I said to Zoe, my voice hard as steel. I'm done being the Evans family bank. The ATM is officially closed. Hallelujah, Zoe toasted. What are you going to do? I wasn't sure yet. But as I looked at the spreadsheet still open on my laptop, the one meticulously tracking every single expense, an idea, cold and precise, began to form. The next morning, I woke with a clarity that sliced through the hurt. It was time for a hostile takeover of my own life. That evening, fueled by a righteous purpose, I opened my professional accounting software. I began creating a detailed report, a forensic accounting of my family's reliance on me over the past 5 years. The Tuscany vacation, $14,855.21. The anniversary party, $8,212.90. Unpaid loans to Mason and Sophie, $17,400. The down payment on Dad's car, $5,000. Page after page, the numbers accumulated. The final tally made me recoil, $84,319.47. It was almost a quarter of my take-home pay. My God. I was single-handedly funding their lifestyles at the expense of my own future. Zoe arrived that night with pizza and a warrior's glint in her eye. I showed her the spreadsheet. Her jaw dropped. Clara, this is criminal, I know, and it ends now. What about actual invoices? Zoe suggested, a wicked grin spreading across her face. You're a CPA. Make it official. It was a stroke of genius. I opened my professional software and created a new template with my firm's logo, EVANS Family Financial Reconciliation. Then I generated individual invoices for each family member for their share of the reunion expenses, complete with itemized costs and my banking details. They're going to lose their minds, Zoe cackled. Probably, I agreed. But this isn't about getting the money back. It's about making a statement. My final call was to Aunt Carol, my mom's sister, the only one who had texted her condolences. I'm about to set some major boundaries, I told her. It's going to get messy. It's about damn time, she replied instantly. Whatever you do, I support you 100%. Her unwavering support was the final piece of armor I needed. I returned to the Evans clan group chat, sent a firm, clear message about the new state of our affairs, then attached the invoices to individual messages for my parents, Sophie and Mason. I pressed send. Then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, closed my eyes, and took the first truly free breath of my adult life. The family meeting was as tense as a hostage negotiation. I walked into my parents' living room to find them all assembled, their faces a mixture of thunderous rage and bewilderment. They had arranged the chairs with one empty seat facing the rest, like a tribunal. Clara, my mother began, we are deeply disturbed by your recent actions. My actions, not the action of abandoning me at a venue I single-handedly paid for. It was a simple miscommunication, Sophie snapped. It wasn't, but let's move on, I said, opening my portfolio. I've prepared detailed financial reports for each of you, outlining my contributions over the past 5 years. The silence in the room was broken only by the rustle of paper. Sophie stared at her sheet, whispering her total, $28,750.45. Mason was uncharacteristically pale. The point of this is not to shame anyone, I explained. It's to illustrate why I have reached my limit. I'm not a resource. So what I require going forward is simple, equal contribution to all family matters, both financially and in effort. I want respect. And I want to be treated like a daughter and a sister, not a walking line of credit. Is that really how we've made you feel? Dad asked, his voice quiet with genuine shock. Like an ATM? Yes, I said simply. I paid my invoice, Aunt Carol announced from the corner. I paid it to show Clara that someone in this family respects her. Her words shifted the air. Dad cleared his throat. I'll be transferring my share for the reunion tonight, he said, looking me in the eye. And I am sorry, Clara. One by one, grudgingly, the others began to acknowledge the truth. I left that night feeling drained but cautiously hopeful. The war was over. Now I had to see if peace was possible. The weeks after were a quiet recalibration. Dad was the first to make good on his word. Mason called a week later, his voice laced with unfamiliar humility. Hey, sis, so I don't have the full amount, but I can send you $150 a week. And could you maybe help me make a budget? It was the first time he had ever asked for my expertise, not just my cash. Sophie's payment appeared in my account 3 weeks later, without a message. The real test was Thanksgiving, which Mom clumsily organized with a shared Google Doc assigning dishes to everyone. After dinner, she pulled me aside. I've been thinking about what you said. I never meant to make you feel that way. I guess we all just got used to you being so capable. There's a difference between being capable and being taken for granted, I replied gently. She nodded slowly. I'm starting to see that now. Exactly 1 year after the leftovers incident, we held the next family reunion at a public park. Everyone contributed to the pavilion rental. Everyone brought a dish. Everyone helped clean up. As I sat at a picnic table, watching my family laugh, I felt a sense of peace. My mother came and sat beside me. This is nice, she said. I don't think I ever properly thanked you. For what? For shaking things up. It wasn't pleasant and I hated your methods, she said, a small smile touching her lips. But this family needed it. We're better for it. Looking at my family, flawed, still learning but trying, I knew the boundaries I had built hadn't pushed them away. They had given our relationships the foundation they needed to become real. As Aunt Carol hugged me goodbye, she whispered Grandma Rose would be so proud. And in that moment, surrounded by a family that was finally learning to see me, I knew she was right. The invoices that felt like a declaration of war had, in fact, been a peace treaty. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with loved ones? Share your story in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, standing up for yourself is not selfish. It's the essential work of building relationships that can truly last.